Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Final Show Films. I'm John, also known as Vince Taku, your executive producer here. I want to thank you all for tuning in and coming to watch us be goofy on screen for you. I particularly want to thank our $25 tier supporters on our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms, who are Rowan Parker, Trevian Alexander, Samantha Bates, Kat Waterflame, and Elle. Without whom we wouldn't be able to do nearly as much of the stuff that we do now, because literally the Patreon pays for all of our podcasting hosting, so that's what you guys put your money towards. So yeah, thank you all very much for supporting us, and if you're watching live, please sit back, relax, and enjoy. And we're live! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gran Terra Shadowfront, the final days. I'm John, your game master for the evening, and joining me today is Alana.
Alana, you're right.
Yes, got it right.
Hi, I'm Alana. I'm playing the role of Fiona today. Also playing the role of Annabella, the Human Ranger.
What I need to do is just, since Alana's out most of the time on these shows, I just need to change the overlay to Alana. That'll help me. Anyways,
Probably. As long as we're playing Gran Terra, it's going to be nice.
Jack.
Hey everybody, I'm Jack. I am playing Gentiminar, the half-elf Triggermancer spell slinger. And, well, he's gonna have a time.
And Cody.
I'm Cody. I'm playing Ithram Volar, Hobgoblin War Wizard.
It sounded like you were going to continue, but didn't say anything.
It was the upward inflection, my bad.
Yeah. Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I am playing Sin, Changeling, Warlock of Galadir.
William.
I'm William, and I'm playing Valdez Stonebeard, the Dwarven Samurai, and the time that Gent's about to be having.
See, that could go in several different directions.
He's going to be exciting.
Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm playing Vespia, Tiefling Chandler, and I'm just going to sit back with some popcorn and watch this unravel.
Speaking of unraveling, Craig.
Hello. I am playing Drummond Bellmender, the Way of the Drunken Master Monk, who is also a dwarf. And I am, due to some parenting stuff and a kid I'm very proud of who's doing a conference despite the fact that they're on spring break, I'm going to be in and out, so I will be covering my camera and leaving you all with my doppelganger.
We are very proud of your child as well.
Indeed.
Very much so.
If anyone shouts to me and I do not answer, it's because I am not here. Drummond will do something stupid and or kind. So
do you
and a legally acceptable amount of creepy.
While I do a thing over here, do you want to brag on your child a little bit before you head out?
I will just say that they are I mean, I will always take a chance to brag on my kid. That's one of the reasons I like playing Drummond, because it's fun to brag about your kids. But my kid is representing their school at the Belonging in Gender and Sexual Identity Conference. They are a middle schooler and are showing up and rolling with other kids and listening to speakers and learning the best way to come back and support other LGBTQ plus kids at their school and work with allies at the school and other things like that. So I'm very proud of them, and I'm very happy to already be at the point where at age 12 my child is eclipsing me in intelligence and accomplishment. And I can just complete my middle-age slide into obsolescence and creepy weird dadhood.
And as what I can confidently say is, if not the, definitely in the top 3 queerest D&D show on Twitch, we are also very proud. And Mara.
Hi, I'm Mara. I'm playing Titania Valkorian, a Ladrin druid of the Grim Harvest.
And as always, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, and just in general, fuck the conservative party in America.
Not literally, because they don't deserve it.
Not literally, because they'll arrest you for it. Literally, because they'll arrest you for it. As I get echo of myself.
I was gonna say that
TV.
you bounce back there, my guy.
Anyways,
It's saying twice.
It's worth saying twice, yes. When last we left off, the Steelhearts had, on a whim, well, on Gent's whim, asked the door of the... On a whim.
What?
A whim. Say whip, whip. Say cool, cool. Now say cool whip. Cool whip.
Cool whip. My safe word will be whiskey.
On a whim, had asked the door of the Black Archive to take them to Desolation, and it did.
Yay.
Shenanigans ensued.
Yep.
And several members of the Steelhearts became a lot closer acquainted than they wanted to with what Ithram referred to as a devil shark.
Still my favorite moment from last episode.
I challenge you to show me a queerer D&D show than this one. Mask of Blackness, I challenge the viewers to show me a queerer D&D show than this one, because if you can, I will go watch it and support it. That's what we should do.
Before we
Actually, yeah,
continue,
we should.
I just have to point out somebody pointed out to me, if you Google Lorena Bobbitt, she is described as a manicurist.
Excellent.
I don't know who Lorena Bobbitt is, so I'm happy.
We don't have time for Lorena
This is the
Bobbitt
point
right
of the
now.
show where Jeremy and I crumble into dust again.
Right?
He's right, though. See it? Oh, my goodness.
Alana, that was the best
don't think that's
reaction I've ever seen.
I don't think that's an age thing so much as you're talking about something that is probably never ever crossed my path.
Because you were not born when it happened.
I
Yes,
wasn't born when
it's a-
MASH happened either.
No, it is an age thing because everybody who was cognizant of much of anything knew about this when it happened.
Did you just say
I mean,
mashed?
I'm only like 3 years older than him, and
No, I'm pretty sure you said mashed.
And I said
He
when
said
MASH
MASH.
happened.
Okay.
When MASH happened was definitely what he said.
Anyways,
Devil sharks.
yes, Ithram referred
Metal
to it as a
Gear.
devil shark. Specifically, Ithram said devil shark, and then Vespia said, "Yes, darling."
That was the best part of last episode, hands down.
So, Titania, are you still in fly mode, or did the devil shark's damage drop you out of fly?
I dropped out of fly, but then I used
Use the spell fly, right? Yeah. That's
yes.
what happened. So Titania and Gent and Grummond float up to the cliff face that the rest of you are all now standing on, having not decided to tumble towards the water. Now, also for clarity for everyone else, the only people that really would have seen what was going on past about 30 feet or so would have been Titania, Gent, and Grummond, because after about 30 feet off the cliff, it's just dust cloud. Until, as the rest of them found, about 50 feet above the water.
Mm-hmm.
So, from the dust cloud, 3 figures float out, looking a little bit more frostbitten than they had before. As Grummond, Gent, and Titania land on the cliff face next to the rest of you.
Everybody okay?
Are you all right, darling?
So-
To Titania.
I'm fine.
So Valdeth immediately runs over to Gent and like puts hands on the side of his face, like trying to check in. Says, "Are you all right?"
Of course.
Good. And then she headbutts him.
Excellent.
What's your strength score, Valdez?
22.
So assuming Gent isn't trying to dodge.
He will definitely. He's not going to let his girlfriend break his fucking nose.
make
not trying to. I'm not actually trying to deal damage. I'm just getting the point across.
Making a statement.
Look, y'all were in PvP mode. I'm just going with the flow.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very reasonable. Well, because that was going to be my follow-up question. Which part of your head and which part of his head are you aiming for?
Like enough to get the point across, not enough to deal physical damage.
All right.
So like forehead to forehead.
Basically, yeah.
Right, yeah, no. Because that's what I was envisioning, Cody. Right, yeah. Bam! Bridge of the nose, you know.
It's the Monkey D. Luffy headbutt where it's just like...
There's no wind up because that would give him time to react. It's just, are you okay? Good.
Right.
Still a dwarven forehead against a half-elven forehead. There's a durability difference there.
And following that is, you stupid fucking idiot.
I'll admit there was a level of risk, but I had it well in hand.
What? You threw yourself off a fucking cliff because you wanted to be so petty because you didn't want to let your friend try and fucking help you.
Yes, that did happen.
That's an interpretation.
You've had a grudge against this man who has done nothing but try and be helpful because you have stigma not against him, but against his fucking cousin.
There are times when even proffered help is not desired. And as all of you know, I value everyone here's independence and ability to make their own choices.
I know that you're smarter than being so petty as to throw yourself into danger about it, though. I know
exactly.
this.
I am smarter than that.
And yet...
Darling, I understand that you're upset with me, and I'm not going to tell you that that's not valid. But please remember who you're dealing with and know that I would never take an unnecessary, uncalculated risk without certain mechanics in place to minimize that risk, both to all of you here and myself.
Are you sure? Because you've been in the shittiest mood since we met back up, and it's been a lot of you throwing yourself into trouble.
I am going to need to adjust, it's true.
I know
I've been
you're
operating
better than
solo most of this past year. And getting back on the working as part of a group horse has been a bit difficult. And for that, I apologize.
I know for a fact you're better than that because that's the man I fell in love with. Just please. He's trying to help. Please tone down the petty, at least a bit. He's not crunchy.
Very well.
I think while that conversation is going on, Grumman is talking to Annabella in Ithram and going, "We need to come back here with the biggest fishing rod you've ever seen. I mean, you should have seen the size of this beauty. It came right out and a blast of ice breath."
Also, Alana, check chat.
That's
So you did see the
Zoom
devil
chat?
sharks.
Oh,
Never mind. I see you have it in the thing, so never mind. I got the correct spelling now.
Picture it, Ithram, self-chilling shark fin gazpacho. Oh, something truly remarkable.
So
There's-
I have no idea what you just said because are you listening to that?
What?
Parents over there with
No.
wow.
Annabella, darling, listen, trust me, you tend bar for enough years, you learn not to focus in on couples disputes or triples disputes or whatever might be going on, domestic disputes at this point. So,
Right.
let's just-
Okay, yeah, right. So something about a fishing rod, what happened?
Right, well, there was this great big shark. It come up out of the water, but bigger than almost any I'd ever seen. Now, I have seen a bigger shark one time, but that's another story. But this one come out and it spewed out a cloud of ice, and we got out of it. And like I said, I was initially thinking shark fin gazpacho, but pictured it, shark ceviche that chills itself. Just had lemon. Oh, we've got to get some of it.
Drummond.
Aye.
I do not mean to interrupt your fascinating story, but
no, of course not.
You do realize that conversation was in no small part about you.
Yeah, totally.
Well, no, I again, I don't.
It is about you. You should probably listen to
it. Again, if someone's talking about me behind my back, it seems rude to turn around and say something.
There.
All right.
Being kind and respecting their privacy, darling.
I understand this. I'm just simply saying it.
My dad did used to say that what other people think of you is none of your business. So actually, I think he might have.
Fair enough. I'm just saying.
What is Sin's name currently? The drow.
Zara. It's just Zara.
Just Zara. Okay. All right. So Grumman will, I guess maybe about the time that the conversation was, Grumman will sort of sidle up to the other group and said, Zara said you all were talking about me and I ought to come over and check in.
Fascinating.
Valdeth gives Gent a pointed look.
I'm afraid you just missed the conclusion of that phase of the conversation, Drummond, but...
that's a good way of putting that.
So now we're in a different one, and you tried to throw him into the water.
Oh, no, I can understand how it might look like that, but no, it was just that, it was I think, again, right, it was sort of a trouble adjusting to the navigation.
No, I was trying to throw you into the open air, but don't worry, I would have dived after you and caught you.
Oh, you're a little rascal. Don't do that again, though, because you were really bad at it.
Fair criticism, I suppose. I did, after all, fly headfirst into the cliff.
Yeah, I didn't want to, kind of rub your beak in it, so to speak. But I suppose since you were actually trying to throw me off, maybe it bears mentioning. Was it how I was sitting on the back? I mean, I've never had feathers, so maybe I was sort of bothering you, or like it was an unpleasant sort of sensation back then. Because you could just tell me to scoot, and I'd be happy to do it.
There were a number of factors that contributed, but
probably
in hindsight, the specifics of the situation seem a bit less relevant to the overall execution at large, and for that I apologize. I shouldn't lose my temper.
No, think nothing of it. And I just, like I always tell my kids, if there's something bothering you, I'd rather you come to talk to me about it directly than try to throw me into the ocean.
I lean over at some point in this. I just lean over to Vespi and say, "You see how I just made this conversation much more interesting?"
Oh, yes. By the way, Vespia has laid out her cloak. She's sitting on it like a blanket and eating candies, just watching this.
I'm 100% there.
She will offer you some, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm totally sitting next to her.
Valdeth is trying so hard to choke back laughter.
I'd like to insight check Drummond. I want to know whether it is all to him water under the bridge or if
all right, give me an insight check.
That we need
I'll roll that as well.
Grumman, what's your passive deception?
It is
so 10 plus whatever your deception score is.
It would just be 10. Or it would be 15 if you're using persuasion.
Deception, because we're trying to see how good you are at passively hiding your feelings.
Sure.
Which
so it would just be
they both beat. So.
Yep. 24.
He genuinely doesn't seem perturbed.
Okay.
Ilana, you get that too, but you don't know if it's because he's genuinely unperturbed or because you're just
Or
bad
because
at
I don't know.
reading him.
Yeah. Right. I trust him, so that actually tracks. He's like the only person in the world she actually trusts because he seems so genuine.
I can't remember if I said this on stream last time or if it was a discussion after, but Grumman's raised 5 kids, and dwarven teenagers are teenagers for like 50 years each. So
In other news, I've
It's
updated the overlay, so now I will say Ilana's name properly, and I have it in my head spelled correctly.
Thank you so much.
maybe you'll spell Grumman right next time.
Did
Oh,
I spell Grumman wrong?
Yeah, it's 2
God
U's.
damn it!
It's okay. It's all
Second
right.
time.
Like I always
No,
tell my
it's-
kids, spell my name however you want, as long as you don't call me last call.
You can call me whatever you want. Just don't
First of
call me
all-
late for dinner.
First of all, don't backmouth the voice in the sky, Grumman. Second of all, I'm fixing it.
All right. Well, in that
This-
case, I would
This
like to
this
get
man
on-
doesn't have a dishonest bone in his body, Kent.
That has never been a question in my mind.
Like I said, just if there's something you want to talk about, I mean, let me know. And he reaches out
Mara.
and sort of pat Gent on the knee.
Eric, Mara.
Oh, it was just well, if that's settled, I'd like to get out of the wind. It's chilly, and I'm going to start casting because I am down to 52 hit points. I'm gonna cast and all 3 of us are here. Okay. Going to do just a healing spirit. So y'all get let me see, how many can it do again as I remember how my spells work.
I thought for a second there, I thought you said I would like to cast end instead of
Yeah.
and you all are there. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to kill us.
I also heard
Yeah.
end, and I was like, oh, interesting. What's this?
No, I mean, I know.
Fascinating. An
freaky-ass death
unanticipated
druid now.
wrinkle.
Go on.
The spirit can heal a number of times equal to
3.
1 plus your spellcasting mod.
Yep.
There,
So
I fixed
everyone
Grumman's name
gets,
too.
Thank you.
2 of these. It is a D6.
So, bearing in mind what it looked like when you cast that cantrip that you hadn't cast in a while, Titania, what does it look like? What does your healing spirit look like now?
Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna do the buttons.
Yeah, do the buttons
Before I
and then
forget.
describe what the healing spirit looks like.
Okay. I think she. That's a good question. I haven't thought about this.
I can describe it if you like.
Sure.
Right. So Titania goes again, as you all have noticed previously. Titania is now doing more like practiced spell casting than the sort of instinctive offshooting of spells that she'd been doing previously. And as she goes through the motions for this, you see that strange spectral figure that you had seen, that shadow hovering behind her as she finishes casting the spell. And when she does, the spirit that rises, where previously it was this sort of like fey light effect, now is just this almost this sort of sterile white hooded figure that just sort of rises in the middle of the space where the spirit is summoned, and has in one hand a sickle, and in the other hand nothing, as it just sort of holds the sickle off to one side and the other hand palm up. And being in its presence, you feel your wounds beginning to knit and regenerate. And as that spirit appears, the darker one behind Tanya vanishes.
And I will do that twice because we got hit pretty hard. Same order. There you go. So Grummond, you got 17 hit points back.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And
that
Gent also got
Grumman is
17
in-
hit points back.
Grumman is in the process of digging through his pack and pulls out a
sorry.
Actually,
like
Grumman got
a
16
sheepskin-
hit points back.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I can't do math. Yes, that is correct.
Sorry. All right, so I took one off. And pulls out a sheepskin lined leather traveling coat. It's sized for a dwarf, but so it's like very broad for Titania, but probably short. And holds it out and says, "Hey, you mentioned you were cold. Here you go."
Thanks.
What does the healing feel like? I'm sorry if you said that, I missed it.
In this case, it feels less warm than it had in previous instances. It feels more almost more natural. It doesn't really feel like a warmth or anything like that. It just feels like your body's natural healing process, but sped up to 1 billion.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
You still look pretty beat up, Titania.
Yeah.
What about
Meh.
Gent and Grummond?
Grummond's looking fine. He's a beefy boy.
It looks like he's at about 40% or so.
Okay.
It was a lot of damage that they took.
Yeah.
And Ithram, you are very familiar with the signs of a devil shark attack.
Yeah.
Devil sharks are gargantuan monstrosities, and their primary methodology is freeze their target into an ice cube and then eat it whole.
Most people don't survive the first blast.
Most people, if they
yeah.
weren't as tough as they are, they wouldn't have survived the first blast.
I'm actually even better than I thought I was, because I should have only taken half from ice damage. I forgot about my suspenders.
Yeah, because it was cold and you have your suspenders. So
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Grumman looks great.
Grumman looks like he might have just come in from shoveling the driveway. That's about it.
Thank you. She will bundle up in that giant coat.
All right. And then he presses a sort of sorts through, like going through the pockets of his cargo pants sort of thing that he's wearing. He like goes through, selects a couple flasks, puts them back in, pulls out another one and holds out and says, "I get a drop of this down."
Yeah, I can do that. He kind of walks over to Gent, and he's rubbing his hands and he starts blowing into them, and you see a little bit of flames coming out the side. And then he puts his hand out onto your shoulder, and I'm going to cast Cure Wounds at 3rd level.
When did you gain access to Cure Wounds, wizard?
what does it look like when you cast Cure Wounds, Ithram?
I just described it.
Oh, well,
Basically,
hands, like anything.
Yeah, well, he's rubbing his hands and then blowing, like, because he got it from the gift of the dragon.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you get another 17 hit points, Gent.
Cool.
And then I will do the same. Another
The dragon
3rd
feats
level.
are real nice.
And then he'll walk over to Titania as well. And this time, just a little bit of sparks come out of the side. And it's not so much warmth, you just get tingles that kind of radiate out from the back of your spine.
Radiate.
Radiate.
You're back.
You get 20.
Here.
Nice.
Well,
Almost the full.
suppose that's settled, unless anybody else would like to contribute.
Gent goes, I learned to cure wounds too.
Shoots myself in the head.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unless somebody wants to be shot, I think we're done.
Generally, I prefer not to be shot.
I guess that means we made it to desolation.
So
Home sweet home.
Your home is terrifying.
I don't know.
You
It
learn
has
to
a
appreciate
certain
certain
charm to it.
things.
That's fair.
Also, we don't go near the water.
Why?
Duly noted.
What are the what are your favorite local dishes? I mean, I would assume with that sort of warning in place, you don't go in for seafood.
Not exactly. We can talk about it on the way down.
Well, I'd like to.
Know where we are in Desolation.
What was it? The Cleft?
Titan's Cleft.
Titan's Cleft. We're at the Titan's Cleft, so we should be. That's where it's circled, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, the head, the skull of the Titan is embedded in the cliffside at water level, or close to water level, basically just below the northern border of Desolation.
Where are where are we trying to go?
I believe we were trying to get in contact.
Or is it the other way
with-
around? I keep
I
forgetting.
was gonna say, I think you said it was
the feet
Oh, wait,
were
right.
to
up
the
here.
south. Yeah, feet
yeah.
feet are up at the top. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Same thing, other side.
Yeah.
I believe we were originally going to attempt to make contact with the Legion, see if they perhaps know anything about any odd areas that or random teleportation areas within the Titan's bones.
Or find any rumor of whoever it was that
Or yes, anything
initially
that might-
encountered the phenomenon, wasn't it?
Yes.
Aye. So, Ithram, do you have a way of finding out where your legion's currently at?
Yes. And I cast sending to my mother. Ma, I'm in town. No.
That would be amazing.
Guz isn't sending a message yet. Mother, we are I've made touchdown at the Titan's Cleft. Was wondering your location.
In response, you get I think how to best to lay this out.
On the table.
Legion Moot, Southern Cliff is all you
Okay,
get.
so-
Is all you get in response. Which you know. So there's a moot, which is most people know what the definition of the moot is, but a moot is basically a multi-legion meeting in this particular case, where all of the legions, or most of the legions all legions that answer the call, basically, meet up to discuss something of vital importance to the Hobgoblins of Desolation as a whole. It's one of the few places where they put aside their differences and actually come together in relative peace. Typically, it's called for the announcement of new legion heads. It's the called for any sort of group events or celebrations, and also for levels of threat that can't be dealt with by one legion alone. And the Southern Cliff, or South Cliff, basically is the southernmost portion of Desolation that faces the Tyrian Channel. And there is basically this sort of pre-established. It sort of was a ruin at one point in time, but it's been fixed up, and there are attendants that live there year round. But there is a sort of established festival ground, basically, for the legions.
Okay, we have a bit of travel ahead of us.
You've been there before, though.
Yes.
For purposes of a spell.
Yes. All right. All right. Does anybody want to take any last sights? No.
Oh, I
All
do
right.
not believe so. However, I did want to check. Legion being of a group place like this, I assume is potentially quick to judge. I'm not making any judgment calls here, but are there any types of individuals that they may have issue with?
No, you're showing up with an individual from the Legion, from a present Legion, so there should be no questions asked, no problems.
Very well. I just wanted to make sure.
And these sorts of
Ithram,
gestures.
Ithram, you do know Drow in particular. And this is probably the only time this would ever come up now that you're thinking about it, because the Everdark Forest is just to the west
Yeah, the
of
south.
that area. Yeah. Which is where the Drow rule. And there are occasional incursions from Drow into Desolation down there. A Drow would be looked at with some amount of wariness. Not necessarily outright hostility, but definitely wariness.
Yes. Okay.
You just don't want to hear the accent anymore.
No, it's not my fault that you decided to be a Drow next to the place where
absolutely.
where the big Drow kingdom is.
Absolutely fair. Like, because we don't know a lot about Drow society, and that was why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll clarify. Some eyebrows may be raised, but you aren't wearing any of the Everdark Forest
Regalia.
Yes.
Would it be funnier if I was?
We've already got a lot on our plates.
Very well.
Check their alignment.
I'd rather not put my entire Legion on a shit list.
That is a very fair point.
Vespia will just like
Or a
drape
joke.
her arms around it was Zara, right?
Zara, yes.
Around Zara and say, I like you.
Thank you. I like you too.
Grips dagger tighter.
What was that?
Are there any sorts of? God, I have lost the accent entirely. Are there any sorts of gestures that we should avoid while we're here? Anything that elsewhere is, a common greeting, but here means like, oh, I'm gonna fillet your mother. That's
Never nod.
you have a lot of bees problems, do you?
Yes, the overabundance in flora and desolation really makes bees quite the problem.
I see.
Gestures towards the wasteland around.
If we're veering into any sort of problematic territory, just give us just give us a nod and let us know.
I'll let you know. All right, everybody, circle up, and starts casting teleport.
All right.
Electricity kind of crackles
can you
around.
Target everyone that's in the party?
Yep. We've established this.
Yeah.
I got room for one more.
Got it.
Hang in there, Scuzz.
Yep.
Exactly one more. Good thing there's an important NPC that'll be joining us.
Crunchy, welcome back.
Bang.
Oh well. Looks like
we need one more trap springer. Yeah, and then I'll cast teleport for just outside the outskirts of the moot, so that we can journey in.
That crackling blue lightning echoes around, or is it blue or red? I forget.
It's red.
Red lightning. That crackling red lightning circles around the group of you as you clasp hands, and then there's a flash of light that goes from red to blue to white, and as it shifts through. You all find yourselves slightly staggered as you land a little bit, and turn to look, and you see this. You would describe it as an ancient ruin in style, if not in quality, because it is fairly well upkept. You see that all the stone masonry has been repaired to as if it was like new. This sort of on Earth we would refer to it as sort of a Greco-Roman style forum, surrounded by large buildings that are obviously being used to house various supplies and individuals and people. You can see that there are throughout the area there are banners raised that indicate all manner of legions. Ithram, you note that there are 2 legions whose banners are not there at immediate glance. There are the Dragon Scale Legion, which are a hobgoblin legion that has sort of bound themselves to the blue dragon that sort of rules over certain sections of Desolation. And the Frost Steppe Legion, which is one of the northernmost legions that's in addition to being hobgoblins, are also comprised of giants and trolls. Those 2 legions in particular are not here. Everyone else seems to be. The outside of the forum, there are also, you can see the more permanent, the roaming, the fairly nomadic legion camps that you had experienced previously with just Ithram's legion, have all been brought into what seems like far too close proximity for these kinds of people to basically be erected in a semicircle outside and around the moot forum. As both a sign of strength and prowess, and also a defensive barrier should anything try to attack the moon itself, because opposite obviously is the cliff. Interestingly, for any of you that are interested in history or geography, it does look like some of the buildings. It does look like the cliff face here at one point extended further. Because you note that there are half tumbled ruins of like buildings along the cliff face, as if there was more ground and then it fell away, leaving only like the far wall and some of the foundation. But as you appear in, there's a little bit of commotion around you because you do sort of appear just outside the forum where people are passing through with supplies and things. You don't land on anybody or anything, but there's a bit of a disturbance as the flow of traffic adjusts for you. But you are there.
Get my bearings. So you said there was only 2, and I just got to. Does that mean the Withered Green Legion is also here? Or is
yes, the Withered Green Legion is here.
Okay.
Which is interesting to you because they typically don't cooperate with anybody.
Yeah.
They are typically the ones that are missing from this moot.
Okay. All right. Yeah, get my bearings and then start heading towards where my legion generally camps when we attend the moot.
I mean, you can eyeball it because you can see your legion
Okay.
banner.
Yeah, head that way.
Presumably the rest of you follow.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Yep.
Yes, I
It's
have
at
an
this point.
idea of why they gathered.
It's at this point that the rest of you realize that there are more than just hobgoblins amongst the legion. Ithram's legion is mostly hobgoblin. But as you continue on, you see that there are hobgoblins in every legion, but there are also giantkin, trollkin. There are various of the more less monstrous races, air quotes, as well amongst the legion, and a few of you see individuals that seem like they seem very odd to you. They are fully encased in sort of a scaled carapace that their armor is designed to fit around. And they give you sort of brief flashes mentally of something else. I want everyone to go ahead and roll me nature checks.
Oof.
20.
Also 20.
14. So, Sin, Vespia, and Valdeth, this is your first time ever seeing in person people known as Taraskers. These are people who are descendant from a group of warriors that were supposedly, mythologically speaking, involved in the killing of a Tarask, and the Tarask's blood transformed them and their lineage into effectively pseudo Tarasks. They are Tarask kin. They have what you would refer to as a dragonborn, but instead of dragon, a Tarask. So that's Sin, Vespia, and Valdeth sort of recognize those as that. The rest of you, you're not really certain what these are. You've never seen them before. And Ithram, you've seen them before, but you've never really thought to ask a name. It's just legionnaires as far as you're concerned.
That's surprisingly relevant, actually, Valda says, indicating to the Taraskers.
Surprisingly, yes. Very fortuitous.
Sorry, what's going on?
Yes,
Those individuals are Taraskers. People who have heritage of people who have slain the Tarask.
Fascinating.
The slaying of a Tarask apparently historically is legend told to leave a major impact on someone's lineage, essentially.
Yes.
And that is the description that we've seen of the results of that lineage persisting.
So I suppose
That actually makes a surprising amount of sense.
I suppose those are the people you'd have to fight if we found that blade you're looking for.
Or who might know when it might have been lost.
Always favorable to negotiate over fighting. Well, not always, but definitely now.
Are they approachable sorts, Ithram?
Ithram, they belong. All of the Taraskers that you've ever seen, including the ones that they're seeing now, belong to the Stonebones Legion, who are. They're not hostile. They're also not particularly friendly, and they're also not very communicative.
They have abrasive personalities. You can approach them. I would recommend if we are, we should have perhaps my father speak to the head of their legion to see if we could inquire.
Probably worth doing.
So, sorry, I'm a little bit behind on this one. Is your father someone important, Ithram?
He's the head of the Duskrunner Legion.
Duskreach.
Duskreach
Oh,
Legion.
okay.
Sorry, Duskrunner was last name of my very first character in this stream.
Yeah.
I like how I remember your Legion before you did.
Yeah, I knew it was Dust something. I was like, what the fuck? It's right
Duskreach.
here. Duskreach. He's the head of the Duskreach Legion. Should read him.
I think it was Dust. Was it Duskreach or Dustreach?
Dusk.
Because I know it was a reference.
D-U-S-K.
It was a reference to how you would cast your spells, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a reference to the metal, how the metal comes out when they get done forging it.
Right.
But yes, assuming nobody has challenged him recently.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't know, would you?
He didn't. He also didn't exactly seem like the sort who would be easy to take down.
That's never going to stop anybody from trying, though. Yeah, head towards the Legion camp.
You head towards the camp, which is notably outside the forum. Notable mostly because that means that the peace agreement that exists within the forum does not exist outside, and so the outside's a much more tenuous situation. And also notable because that means that the sound that you hear makes sense. You had just mentioned, whether or not your father has been challenged. You hear, as you get closer to the Duskreach, you actually hear the ceremonial drums of challenge.
All right.
Somebody
That's not
apparently
a
has
good
challenged
sign.
for leadership.
Yeah, I quickened my step a little bit.
Do all the just? I mean, this is. I guess out of game. I wouldn't really know. But do all the drums sound the same, or would you know based on what drum?
It's a combination of the type of drum being used and the tempo at which it is being beaten tells you what is going on. The drums,
But
of
not
challenge-
necessarily by
Yeah.
who.
No, not necessarily by. They're different from each legion as well. Like each legion has their own
Gotcha.
drums, and their
Okay.
own traditions. The Duskreach Legion, specifically the drums of challenge, are these very wide, very deep drums that have a particularly unique sound. Mostly because they are strung rather than being strung with normal hide, they're strung with dragon hide. And that dragon hide has a particular sort of almost metallic sound that comes off of it, in addition to that deep bassy boom.
Sounds like
But
someone's
he would
beat.
know that it's a Duskreach cow. That
Oh
was
yeah, no. As soon as Ithram hears it, he knows which drum it is and whose drum it is.
okay. That was my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Sounds like someone's beating a trash can as a drum.
The only reason, I mean, I suppose I could roll an insight check if I need to, but the only reason I ask is because it would actually, because he would move with a bit more purpose if it were his drums or his challenge.
Which is what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I will follow with equal purpose.
Yeah.
So you all hear, none of you other than Ithram know what these drums mean, but you do all hear this fairly loud sort of metallic beat.
We know
bass
Ithram's
drum.
moving awful fast with a lot of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Doing the retail walk.
Something important, Ithram.
What I just spoke of, that's somebody has challenged my father.
Ah, well, let's go see it happen.
So you know the drums basically go on for the
Mhm.
entirety of the challenge.
Yeah.
When the drums stop is when the challenge is ended, and then there will be another audio signal basically for who win, whether incumbent or challenger. So you don't know how long the fight's necessarily been going on because you sort of, when you heard the drums, they were in progress. You didn't hear them start.
Yeah.
And as you get into the Duskreach Legion, into the camp, the guards whom let you through because they recognize you. You very quickly make your way to the center of the camp, where you find this very large dirt circle that has been lined with stones.
Mhm.
And in the middle of it, you are watching, and the rest of you see, as this very massive, well-muscled, red-skinned hobgoblin that some of you recognize as Ithram's father, currently has in both hands each one meteor hammer. So big, long metal chain with a large, bulky head at the far end that he is sort of spinning with a tempo that feels like it should be impossible, given that this is a mortal and not a giant. He's got each meteor hammer whipping about with both one hand each, as the challenger, who seems to be a much younger hobgoblin, with a that is sort of coming into it with a pair of swords. It's sort of like trying to judge and gauge an attack route through the whipping chains. And you watch as a moment passes, the younger one makes a decision and pushes in, and he takes 2 steps before one of those meteor chains whips unusually, and the hefty head of it comes down, strikes the hobgoblin in the chest, and launches out of the ring and over a couple of tents. And as the loud percussive crack of the meteor hammer striking the opposing hobgoblin sends it flying, the drum beat stops, and another sort of more wind chimey sound rings out very loud, signaling the victor.
I'm going to need a minute.
And as that meteor hammer flies up, You watch as Ithram's father yanks, and the hefty ball just zooms back to him. He drops the chain, catches the actual mace head of the meteor hammer, and just spikes it into the ground before throwing his arms out with a roar to the applause of to the cheers of the watching crowd.
Maybe 2.
And I guess if I need to roll an insight check, I can't. But can I tell if his father seems remarkably pleased or like just sort of bored with this?
Make an insight check.
Did I recognize who challenged him?
No, you do not
Okay.
recognize challenge him, and you probably won't ever recognize him again.
I was gonna say, not now, definitely, or not before.
24.
definitely not
I
now.
So it was
believe his
24.
last name is Dent.
With a 24, this is a person who is at the peak of his physicality, much beyond what his age should indicate he should be. Like, this is somebody who should have passed and retired his peak several years ago, but still continues to reign strong, and he takes pride in that. So he's not like joyful or tired. He is proud. You
Talking
sort of
about
see
like
the-
specifically
yeah.
referring to this challenge and this challenge.
Oh, this challenge and this challenger doesn't seem to think much more of them other than as an obstacle. Like, this is
Just another one, another somebody that was trying to take his turn.
you really feel as far as you can tell, this feels more like, for him, the challenge is more interesting than the challenger.
Okay.
And what that challenge represents both for him as a person and for the tribe as a whole, or for the Legion as a whole.
Drummond is immediately a fan, and also is looking around to see if anyone is taking bets.
Interestingly, no one was taking bets.
It was an obvious outcome as far as everyone
Yeah,
else was
who's
concerned.
Okay.
Oh, look,
Not
another
unless
fucker
there's a-
challenged the chief.
Not unless there's a point spread.
The
Right.
Ithram, you hear a small chuckle off to your left as a familiar male hobgoblin sidles up next to you. This is the name that I can't think of off the top of my head.
McCraw?
No, Onkar.
Ankar.
Onkar, the sort of fairly like more goblinoid than hobgoblinoid face of Onkar, sort of steps up next to you, chuckling, just sort of twirling some fire around his fingertips. It was a upstart from the Stone Bones thought he could come and take over.
Oh.
Turns out,
So he didn't know who he was dealing with then.
turns out his bones are now powder as opposed to stone.
That is unfortunate for him.
Hey, they always have a few too many young hotheads. I'm sure the leader is happy to get rid of a few. Hey, what brings you and your friends back to the Legion, Ithram? I understood you to be seeking, what is it called? God-killing powers.
Still a bit on that front. Have you seen my mother? Would need your help would be appreciated as well. Any information you might have.
She is in the forum, preparing for meeting. How much do you know the situation?
I don't know why you've been specifically meeting, but I could have an idea. Is it about what is happening south in Taram?
Possibly, but not directly. Come, you and your friends follow me. We'll explain in a little bit more less jovial of an area.
I'll send
I will
Shakar.
follow.
I'll send Shakar over to my father. Just give him a heads up that I'm here.
Oh yeah, you as you send Scott, you see your father like very pointedly looks at you as he continues on his path. Like he was aware you were here when you arrived.
All right, cool.
he's just right now he's doing his job, which is hyping up the Legion and getting everybody pumped and excited and like, you know,
we ready for another?
Yeah. He's doing the whole like, who else challenges me, you know, speech that he does every time he beats one of these people.
All right.
Roman's hand is going up.
Are you not entertained?
Ithram just pushes it back down.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't want to poke that bear.
No.
I
mean,
I genuinely want to spar with him at some point. Not for like leadership challenge,
Zara.
but just to practice.
What?
I heard the comments earlier.
Yes. And
Let's go.
I'm just saying.
Vespia will look at Sarah. I completely agree and give her a wink.
Right?
So,
to like two of Ithram's party members. Your dad's hot.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's at
3.
he's a very attractive hobgoblin.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's just 2 because I think it might be actually 3.
Well, that'd be 4 in that case.
I'm pretty sure half euro, at least half euro.
And you know Scuzz would be into it too, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ankar leads the group of you to a side tent where the heavy leather flaps can be closed, dropped down to sort of muffle the surrounding sounds. On the inside, this actually you realize this is sort of the war tent, as it were, not the chieftain's tent, which is always in the center of the camp, but this is sort of off to one side where the planning and things happen when he needs to be elsewhere. Ankar sort of brings you over, and you see there's a hide leather map of desolation on the ground, or on the sort of a bench in the middle of the room. Ankar heads over to one side and sort of sits down on a cushion, gestures. There are very comfortable like floor cushions all around this table for more people than you have with you. Please, seats. And he sort of looks around and reaches over behind one of the hanging curtains. Those of you that haven't been in one of these, the tents are effectively like if you took a whole bunch of like heavy rugs and stitched them together into a tent, complete with the patchwork patterning and everything. Like that's what this tent looks like. He reaches over behind one of these sort of flaps of a tent, pulls back this large, looks like it's a gourd that looks like it was probably made out of some sort of bone at one point. It was sort of whittled out of some sort of bone. Uncorks it, pours it into a stone, and pours it into a metal cup. Offers it around.
About to take a drink.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Pass it around.
Pass it around. There are cups around. None of the cups are particularly fancy, but they get the job done.
Yep.
Can I take a sniff and try to identify it?
Yeah. Go ahead and give me a brewer's kit tool with your, or check with your either your intelligence or your wisdom.
Please let it be my wisdom.
Either one.
I'll roll insight if that's okay, because that would be the same result.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say, "Oh, you're sniffing. Okay, make a Constitution save."
Well, that'd be okay too. 16.
Interestingly, like you would expect this. Looking at Ankar looks like the kind of a person that drinks fire and spits magma. But as you sort of like get the thing and sort of sniff it and take it, it's surprisingly mild, the alcohol that's in this. You definitely can tell it's alcohol. To you, this actually, you're trying to sort of pinpoint the particular flavors, and you're not getting it exactly, but it feels more like this is a some sort of fruit-based tonic more than like a harder liquor.
Like a liqueur versus a liquor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had enough hard nights drinking. I want my alcohol to
And as any of you, as you know, he just sort of holds it up and mutters, basically, bottoms up in Hobgoblin. and just sort of takes his drink. Any of you that drink along with, it's very, very smooth. Like you could definitely feel the alcohol kick to it, but it more has a it's this odd, strange mix of fruit flavors. It's not, you can't really pick one out, but the one that stands strongest over it is the sort of strawberry watermelon-esque flavoring. But it's very, very sweet and smooth.
It's spiked fruit punch.
But you could definitely feel the alcohol in it. Like you imagine it would take a lot to get drunk off of this, but it wouldn't take as much as it would to get drunk off of this as it would like a much lighter wine or something like that.
It's like schnapps.
Yeah. Actually, yes, it's very much like schnapps. Now that I think about it.
It's a fine drink.
Thank you.
That's not bad at all. What do you call this sort of thing?
He says the phrase he says in Hobgoblin. Who speaks Hobgoblin other than Ithram?
I need to check. I don't think so.
Languages.
Not I, said the cat.
Nope. Common Dwarvish Elvish.
I speak a few languages, but none of them are hobgoblin.
I think it was only me and Scuzz that spoke Goblin because we made jokes all the time.
Yep.
I just need to check.
Oh yeah, because the goblinoids all share the same language.
Yeah.
Hobgoblins, goblins, bugbears.
Yeah.
Yeah, not.
Also, the next magic item I get definitely needs to be like some sort of language translator because I totally need that.
All right, the cuffs don't. The ear cuffs don't translate, do they?
No.
They do not now.
You just you get the subtitles showing up like they do in way too many American movies where it's just like speaking in Spanish.
Laughs in Spanish.
Speaking in
right.
Goblin. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
So he just says Moloko. Which
Or loco.
No, Moloko, which Ithram is milk.
Okay, yeah.
Four Loco? Okay, good.
The thing is, Mo and Hobgoblin is 4. So
Yeah.
Moloko, which is Ithram. That translates to milk as far as you're as from what you can tell, Ithram.
Man, I think get a nice gin, a little bit high on the botanicals. Take maybe a simple syrup, a little bit of basil infused in it. I can make something really memorable with this.
Would like to taste it if you do.
In fact, I'll tell you what. Do you have a little bit more? I might be able to. Sorry, I have this thing where I hear somebody else's accent and I start to slip into it. It's a character flaw, not anything to do with the person playing me.
I understand.
So, right. In fact, if you don't mind, is there like a side table in here or anything?
There is, but he sort of like holds a hand out afterwards, perhaps.
Of course, not a problem.
Looks over at Ithram.
The bones of the Titan along the coast. Do you know of any areas where strange magic happens? Teleportation of sorts. I recently read of a story of an individual that went into a expedition through the bones and ended up northwest near the furthermost region of the Eastfield.
He sort of thinks for a second, his already fairly pinched face becoming more pinched as he thinks about it. Nothing that there are many magical places amongst the Titan bones. The death of a Titan is magical in and of itself, but nothing of teleportation that I can think of. However, there is activity within the bones at the moment which may be of relevance to you, or maybe not, who knows. But it's the reason for the moot. Not too long ago, the dragon scales and the what was the other one?
Frost Step.
The was it Frost? Yeah, the
Yeah,
dragon's
Frost
bone,
Step.
the dragon skin, the dragon scales, and the frost step legions have gone to war with each other as well as a third party. There is a something happening around the skull. He says, pointing towards the east. Something. The dragons of of desolation found something around the skull, prompted them to gather forces and their legion, which in turn prompted a response from the frost step all the way from the north came down, along with their giants and others, all combating at the moment around the skull. The moot is called so we can determine what we as a people are going to be doing in response for these forces fighting in desolation, which is already a harsh place to live. It's only going to make the living that much harder, particularly if one comes out on top of the others. So, the leaders and their seconds are meeting to decide what to do. We even managed to convince the something green legion.
Whether
Yeah, we even managed to convince the Withered Green to break from their worshipping of the bones to assist us in this endeavor.
yes, I was surprised to see them.
Well, when the threat is threatening their precious bones, then they can see reason.
So they're fighting around the skull. Have they not made it inside yet?
They have not. Interesting. Some of our scouts report that there is, at best they could describe it as a Titan kin guarding the skull against the giants and the dragons. He sort of like gives that word a bit to breathe and then shrugs. There's nowhere else you could describe it. It's a figure that is many times larger than anything else on the field, defending the skull, aided by other entities that don't belong to the giants or the dragons. So, Titankin it is.
Certainly worth seeing what
Yes,
that is.
if they found the way inside, then
Well, my question then becomes, where did it come from? You don't think that sort of thing would just be able to sit around and not be noticed?
it might have come through the other side.
Exactly. If it just appeared, it might be guarding the portal we're looking for.
The first sign of it that we have ever heard was shortly after the fighting began. So don't know if it's the reason they're fighting or if it appeared after the fighting, but it does seem to stand apart from the rest.
Definitely gives us a spot to at least start looking. Keep an eye on.
If you wish to look, you are independent of the rest of the legions. You're free to do what you like. I will warn you, though, it is not a safe place to be right now.
Yes.
Not many places in the world currently are.
Desolation is never the safest place, but relative.
I mean, you should hear the name of the other places we need to go.
Have you had any reports of demon incursions within Desolation?
A few. Fiendkin do not often come here, though. There's not much for them to take, and the warrior spirits of the legions are not those easily bartered. Though I'm sure there's one legion or two that might wish for some assistance, but for the most part, there's not much out here for them, at least as far as we're aware.
All right, that's good news at least.
As we have seen the darkened sky, he says, pointing this time pointing south. Which you could also tell when you got into the camp proper that it's daylight out here, but there's a point in the sky where it just seems like daylight stops. And it's that point in the sky is towards Taram.
That sadly makes sense.
But if something wants to come and try their hand, they will meet ours. That is the way of desolation. Jack, do you need to inject yourself with stuff? That thumbs up does not tell me if it's
Nah, I'm
yes
good.
or not.
Thanks,
Okay,
though.
good.
I checked.
Well, as you're all pondering what
Yeah.
to do next and where this conversation may go, that's actually where we're going to take a break anyways. So, those of you that are watching at home, please stay tuned for these commercial messages. Remember, when we take our break, you take your break. So stand up, stretch your legs, move around, do whatever you need to do. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're back. A dinosaur story. So, you're all sitting around a table with Ankar. It was just revealed that basically what's the reason why the mood is happening is because there seems to be some sort of three-way tie or three-way battle going on between Giantkin, Dragonkin, and Titankin.
That's not scary at all.
I mean, to be fair, on the scale of, 1 to Thram, that's probably mid-level.
Certainly a threat, but yes, it's
I don't know. Titankin is pretty new.
fairly new. Yes.
Ankar, do you know anything of the stories of the Mage King Kestro?
He thinks about it for a second. There are stories of don't know if it's a Mage King Kestrel, but stories revolving around, what killed the Titan, some sort of powerful mage. Don't know if Mage King would be the appropriate title. But...
All right.
I'm sorry.
That is part of why we're looking for information about the Titan's bounds. I believe this individual is tied to at least that area somewhere.
Well, I myself have been inside the skull before. Not very far. Nothing particularly kingly inside, but perhaps it was not there when I looked. Perhaps.
Are we
Yeah,
certain the
perhaps it
skull was? Are we certain the skull was the area where this event or anomaly manifested?
No, it's just where they happen to be fighting.
Ah.
Second potential
They're
lead
fighting
that
over
I
something
didn't.
there.
Yes.
A second potential lead that I didn't even realize was possible before we arrived here. Would it be possible to get an audience with some members of the Stonebones Legion? They have individuals among their number who look to be of Taraskar heritage.
You need to stop chugging, Beldeth. It's been a while.
It's a sipping drink. You should not drink too much of it at once. I mean, considering that that kid just creamed one of their more annoying ones, could possibly garner a favor or two.
There might be a weapon in the ancient heritage of some of their folk that was used to fell the immortal Tarask and might be useful for our hunt.
Possibly, but I wouldn't get my hopes too much up. The folks that are Taraskars amongst the Legion are not the brightest in the bunch, and also not particularly big on history. Some of them pop up here and there within the Legion. Not all of them are born to Taraskars. They do not always breed true. But
anyone who might be related to one who might know of any ancient history. We're looking, among other things, for the mortal blade of Nyerazim, which was supposedly made to kill a Tarask.
He sort of shrugs. You certainly said a lot of words, but we can certainly see about you having the opportunity to ask.
Be nice.
So I take that to mean that you are going to be staying around for a while then.
For a bit, yes.
Well, perhaps you'll be around for whatever the forum decides then, and can see the results. Or perhaps you'll go and rid us of the problem before we even get around to solving it.
We could also aid you in whatever you decide your solution will be, depending.
Yeah. can't speak for the others, but the Dusk Reach would much rather wait and see who the victor is and deal with that problem rather than trying to deal with all three. But there are certainly stronger heads or hotter heads within the Legion that would want more preemptive solutions. He sort of takes another drink. But once Ken is finished, how you say, pounding his chest, I will go and ask him for your favor. Or you could ask him, or you could go wait in his tent and ask him yourself. You are allowed in, after all, Ithram.
Yes, I think we can ask him. Yes.
In that case, I will sit here and continue to drink over my war maps. He says, indicating the table in front of him.
All right. What kind of, is it just general, like what they've seen size wise for forces in that area?
On the maps?
Yeah.
It's not even that specific right now. It's just sort of like highlighting where the threat is and making notes of any incursion. You know, looks like from what you can tell, the fighting is staying pretty consistent there. It does seem like the dragons and like the dragonkin forces and the giantkin are drawing reinforcements from somewhere. And that seems to be the primary thing that they're trying to figure out with their scouts. You see, most of what you're seeing are scouting emplacements and then notations for where reinforcements have been seen.
Okay. And the dragon scale, are they beholden to Azerth specifically, or is that just who my legion pays tithe to? One of the dragons in the region.
The dragon scale are beholden to Azerth specifically, yes.
Okay.
All the legions pay tithe to Azerth, not because they're necessarily loyal to Azerth, but because they don't want Azerth. They don't want to have to fight Azerth.
Yeah.
The dragon scale specifically are loyal to Azerth.
Okay. All right. Anybody that wants to stay and talk is more than welcome to, I'm sure. But I will be stepping into the chieftain's tent if anybody wants to join. Welcome as well.
Yeah.
How does Ithram look? Like is Ithram
With his eyeballs
comfortable?
mostly, I think.
Yeah. When I close them, they're through Shakar.
Comfortable, uncomfortable, ill at ease.
He's comfortable. He's just, processing new information. So he's just like running it in his mind quiet.
I mean, I don't fucking know. I got a 12. I think Grumman will go with
that's more than my passive deception or
fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Just sort of dealing with any kind of family and home issues. Grumman's just will go to just be nearby just in case.
When Ithram gets up, Vespia will immediately be at his side, arms around him.
But he'll drape an arm around your shoulder.
As you get up,
Grumman will. Sorry.
As you get up, Grumman, Unkar just sort of tosses a secondary gourd at you. For a road, where you end up falling over.
I appreciate that very much. I tell you what, if we have time before we head out, I'll mix a little something with it, and if it's to your liking, I'll write down the recipe for you and leave you what you need to make it again.
Very good.
And then I'll lean over to Vespia, and if I can, with Vespia's like right on Ithram, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Ithram would almost certainly hear this, but I'll lean over to Vespia and sort of whisper, "Meeting a family, eh? Always a little bit nerve-wracking. Don't worry, I'm here. I've got your back."
I appreciate that. She'll wink at him.
Give her sort of a reassuring pat on the shoulder or elbow or whatever you can reach. No, it's Vespia. Not whatever he can reach. Definitely armed.
I have to clarify.
Ithram, do the legions do any trade at these moots? There are a few things that I'm looking for.
At the very least, we still have our own craftsmen, but you should be able to, right?
Yeah.
It has to be in the forum area. That's where.
One of the
neutral
benefits of
ground.
one of the benefits of the forum of the moot is neutral ground. So those of us that are a little bit less enthusiastic about legion warfare can, without any form of necessary subterfuge, engage in other forms of communication, trade, romance, trysts. There are more than a few interlegion marriages that happen at these sort of events. So.
Well, all right. Might go out and have a look around then. Cautiously and carefully, without doing anything reckless.
Ithram, what was that? The green something legion?
Yes.
Worship the Titan bones? Did I hear that right?
No, that's the
Withered green.
Do they?
Withered green?
I mean, yeah, amongst other things, they do worship the bones.
Yes, they worship the bones, but they were also beholden to Rhyhor.
Never mind.
It is a name I would be happy never to have to hear again.
Yeah.
Did we finish him off at any point?
No.
Or
No.
has he reconstituted by this point?
Absolutely did not finish him off. He is currently doing whatever he is going.
He's somewhere in the hive of ruin. Fucking.
Yeah, he's somewhere stockpiling, waiting. Be like, all right, they're alone now.
These motherfuckers are going to be back at some point, and I'm going to be ready for them.
Well, he's off the island. He's his phylactery was somewhere in the hive of ruins. That's where he's at now.
Where he was
Dig
at.
his way out of it.
That's where he was at
it's been a year.
ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's never been a lich that's bothered to learn the teleport spell, so he's definitely still there.
Right. And certainly
hasn't
not
walked
moved
in
his
a year.
phylactery.
Why would you walk if you're a lich?
Oh.
I was curious if they might know something more about any spots within the Titans, but I don't think that's a good idea.
The fact that they are here, they might be willing to share some information, but
I wouldn't expect too much out of them.
Try and go and ask.
anything is worth the inquiry at this point.
And this is supposed to be neutral ground. I don't think they'd be looked upon well for breaking it and attacking someone.
The forum is neutral ground.
Yes.
Ankar very specifically interjects.
Yes. If you can find any within the forum, feel free to ask.
The legions don't devolve into chaos outside the forums out of respect and also mutually assured destruction. But there is no peace accord outside the forum's grounds.
Understood. What's the forum?
It's the actual
ruins.
It's the very well kept ruins that the legion tents are sort of semicircled around right now.
All right.
If it looks old and people aren't fighting on the other side of it, that's the good.
If it looks old and permanent, it's a forum.
I might try that direction, but
I trust both of you. Whatever you're headed, I trust you'll find what you're looking for, or the best you can. I'll stay with Ithram to meet with his father, since this is the avenue I'm most pursuing anyway.
I as well.
I feel like you've got ulterior motives for meeting with his
I
father.
don't know what you're talking about. I have the exact same motives as you would. I'm certain. Okay, not at all, but that's not.
Right this way.
So, Grummond, Ithram, Sin, Valdeth, and Vespia are all going to meet Ked. Annabella, are you going with them or are you going with Gint and Titania?
Where are Gint and Titania going?
They're heading into the forum.
Up in.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Gint and Titania.
Okay, so you're going with Gint and Titania. So we'll start with.
Unless can I put a caveat there?
Sure.
Unless Titania looks at me as though she wants to go alone.
No.
Okay, then yes, I'll go with Gint and Titania.
So we'll start with the ones that get to their location first, which is the ones going to meet Ked. You exit the tent. There's still celebration going on. This looks like at this point that it's just an excuse, to unwind a little bit, considering the very high tensions, considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take long before you enter the tent for the tent flaps to burst open as this. You didn't think it was possible for him to be that much bigger than when you saw him previously, but he's twice as large in person. Like for whatever, you're not certain how big that ring was, but it has to have been like the size of a football field for him to have gained this much size between then and now. As he bursts into the tent, chuckling still, smelling of sweat and exertion, and sort of this truly massive hobgoblin, the biggest hobgoblin any of you have ever seen, by no stretch of the imagination. He with one hand holding the wrapped up meteor hammers now, he sort of like leans over and sort of drops them next to the entrance to the tent, where they thud with a heavy crunch of earth and dirt underneath them. Walks past the group of you, still chuckling, reaches out, tousles Ithram's hair, and you watch as Ithram's head disappears beneath this mighty paw of a hobgoblin. None of you would be surprised if it turns out that he's part giant. And he finishes his triumphant stride to the far end of the tent, where his massive throne, one of the few permanent structures in the Legion, sits. Turns, sits heavily on it, resting his arms on the arms of the chair, and looks at the group of you. Well, it is good news that my son brings all of his friends on eve of my victory. Welcome. I'm sure your presence is what helped me achieve such a magnificent feat.
Yes, it was quite the skilled foe. Was able to catch the end of the battle.
Did you see how far he flew, my son?
I heard as well.
I believe that might be a record. 2 tenths. That's very far.
We have
Jeremy. Jeremy, you were saying something?
Anything we can do to help. Anything.
He winks over at you. I'll keep that in mind.
We came seeking information about the Titan's bones. Ankar informed us of what was happening near the skull.
I thought you were coming to. I thought you were coming to announce that you had gotten married. He says, gesturing towards Vespia, who's still clinging to him.
Oh yes, should give him away.
Not quite, but
Not yet.
Be sure to let me know when the date is.
Hang on 1 second.
Does that finally penetrate his thick skull?
Hey, no, it was a
Oh.
charisma save. He doesn't blush visibly. I guess.
Goes from red to purple now.
No, we're investigating. Do you know anything of the Mage King Kestrel? Any stories?
He thinks about it for a second. Those kinds of stories are not my forte, my son. Your mother, she may know
Right.
more, but nothing. Don't tell top of my head, no.
I thought as much. No offense, father, but
I know my capabilities, son. That is one thing you learn as you get older. Never underestimate the capabilities of others, but also never overestimate your own.
This individual possessed a weapon that may weapon and armor that may aid us in our endeavors to the south with the individual that has usurped the God King.
That would explain the dark skies, then, I assume.
Yes. Yes.
We're wondering if we're going to have to go invade Tiram in order to make the sun come back in that area, but sounds like you're having it handled, so.
He gives not that much of a chuckle, but he does give a little snort. But yes, there's stories of an individual traveling within the bones of the Titan that was transported to the northwestern fields of Eastveld.
These I do know. These I am familiar with.
You have heard the story.
Not just one. There have been many who have ventured into the Titan's bones and disappeared, never returning and no corpse ever being retrieved. It's why the several legions continue to delve into the bones to find treasures, assuming that there is more to them than can be seen on the surface. There have been many that have disappeared. I don't know specifically which one you're talking about necessarily, but the bones radiate great magic all throughout, top to bottom. Focal points. Places where he sort of thinks for a second, trying to figure out the words. Your sister, she speaks of chakras, ki. A place on the body where these energies gather. These are places where the Titan's bonds are more magically active. In those places, this is where people are most likely to disappear, depending on how deeply they delve.
Being a samurai, would I be able to roughly estimate where those places are on a typical body?
You can make a medicine check with advantage.
Fucking really? I don't have a bad medicine check.
You're really more on the military aspect of it, less the philosophical aspects.
Yeah.
Anyone else that would like to can make either a medicine or a religion check, I guess, depending on how you're approaching it.
Slightly better at medicine.
What was the check again, John?
Either medicine or religion, to identify where the chakras are in the body.
Chakras are stored in the bones.
Yes. The rest of the
17.
the rest of you have a bit better of an idea, particularly Grummond, who is a monk and thus has more direct access to these things. Yeah, you're familiar with the sort of the standard, the crown, which is top of the head, the third eye, which is sort of middle of the head, middle of the skull, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root.
Just keep in mind, Grumman is less last airbender and more last bartender.
Solid.
Golf clap.
Thank you.
But yeah, so all of you except for Valdez basically have a basic understanding of where these locations would probably be along the Titan's bones. The head is the location of at least 2, maybe 3.
All right. Have any happened recently that you have heard?
Not recently, no. These are old stories, but not old stories without merit. Of course, recently there's been, a 3-way war between all manner of large things, so.
Yes. Is it the same particular areas, or are more visited often? Is one visited more often than another?
The scattering of stories are never that specific, unfortunately.
All right. Well, that's more than we knew before, so thank you.
Certainly is. Can I just say, if you don't mind, that was a fine fight out there. I wish I'd been able to see the whole thing, but
Well, thank you, but you probably did. There wasn't much beyond the young pup trying to intimidate at the beginning. Lot of
Speaking of-
showboating and bravado.
Speaking of, he was a Stonebone, correct?
He thinks for a second, and you realize in that moment that he genuinely forgot who he was. Probably yes.
There was another lead we were following on potential weapons that might aid us in our quest. That the Taraskers or the Stonebones, their heritage being the slaying of a Tarask, might be able to point us in the right direction. There's legends of a weaponsmith by the name of Nyerizem who forged a mortal blade to slay such a beast.
Interesting. Well, you certainly asked him, but I imagine that a lot of you are more world-traveled than they are. Surely you have an idea of where you might find a Trask.
We've ideas.
Dead one.
Yeah, we've certainly got ideas, but if there's any cultural history that might have passed down from any of the families of those Taraskers, that might give us a better idea.
Well, if you're thinking culturally, you might do better to consider them Legionnaires less. Legionnaires first, Taraskers second, but certainly no harm in asking at the very least. I'll put in a word with the leader.
Am I to understand then that
You went with the
the
others.
yeah, I did.
Yeah,
That's
you were
right.
with the other two.
My bad.
That's all right. What? This is anything else. You're having feasting. There is feasting going on. There is partying. You're welcome. The friends of Ithram are welcome to make yourselves at home amongst our camp.
I think we'll be here for a little while at the very least, so we might as well avail ourselves and then enjoy the company.
Yes. He points over at him. And you should go see your mother.
That was the plan, yes. Oh, and very rude of me, he turns and says, apologies. And our troop.
Sorry, you froze right as you said apologies, Cody. What was that?
He says, apologies. This is Vespia. Turns, says, she recently joined our troop.
Work very quickly, do you then?
He does.
Well, definitely my son then. Well, enjoy yourselves of our hospitality, and if you happen to hear the sound of the challenge drum once more, the best seats are in front of my tent.
Get a good view of how far he flies.
Oh, it's spectacular.
I'll have Shakar survey the battlefield next time so he can get an exact measurement.
How often do you get challenged?
When the mood is on, at least one youngling from every legion will come to challenge me at some point. I've already bested 3, so.
You mean one idiot?
Well, no, there were 2 others before this one.
So 3 idiots.
No, 3 idiots. Yeah.
3 idiots.
They are young, they are stupid. Well, they were young, now they're dead. This happens. The legions do not come together very often, and if you don't want to challenge your own leader, then you are more likely to go challenge another one. One whose capabilities you don't necessarily fully understand, or are properly respectful of.
And I take it because the Dusk Reach is considered to be one of the more cautious and even-tempered legions, they consider you to be weak.
They think lots of the young ones think that a true warrior walks in with his balls swinging. They do not account for the fact that mine reach quite a distance.
Also, take it from me, a brawler who often comes in at about waist height. You don't want him swinging around. I'd highly suggest some sort of athletic supporter. Otherwise, you can just go full on speed bag.
I like this one, Ethan. Keep him around.
It has been entertaining, yes. He's a good one.
Meanwhile,
Grumman smiles and kind of nods at Ithram and thanks.
Meanwhile, Gent, Tanya, and Annabella. So, you've headed out of the Legion camp, basically directly across to the Forum, where you pass through the ruined arches and find yourselves amongst the more well-kept stonework. That is definitely more permanent, and thus the Forum, as opposed to the tents outside. The one thing you notice is that in addition to everything else, none of the Legionnaires that are in here that are wearing their colors are carrying their weapons. There doesn't seem to be anybody like restricting their weapons. Nobody's there asking for your guns or anything like that. But it seems like basically everybody in here has willingly and intentionally left their weapons at their camp, presumably as a sign of good faith.
Seeing that, Gent will disarm himself and put them all in the bag of holding and just cinch that up around his waist.
Annabella will do the same.
Okay.
I can't because mine's a giant staff and it's really hard to get it in there currently, so no.
That's fine.
Surely you not part the old druids from the
I
walking
feel like that's
stick.
hard to get in the neck
Right, it's
beheading yourself
right.
accidentally.
It's the bend is the real
Yeah.
the key,
The scythe blade presents the most issue.
Yeah. So I'm using that as my staff.
Yeah. But you see that there are actually a number of stalls that people have sort of set up in their respective Legion colors, selling the various wares that each Legion collects collects or crafts throughout Desolation.
Unless you do it the other way around, where you put the blade in first and then just tilt it up.
Gent's looking for an alchemist, an he's looking for potions, basically.
Yeah, you can definitely find potion makers amongst the Legion. There are several different ones that make potions, so you have a bit of a choice spread.
Okay. If he can, he's looking for oil of slipperiness or potions of heroism, one of the two.
All right. Let me just take a look here real quick. Is anybody else looking for specific things while you're amongst the market stalls?
Can you repeat that, please?
Is there anyone else that's looking for anything amongst the market stalls?
Not right now, no.
Nope. Actually, I'm looking for diamond dust, greater restoration.
Okay. Yeah, you can absolutely find some diamond dust at cost.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Gotta remember what that one. Do I have enough money? Good question.
Yes, there are some potions of heroism available that you can find. No oil of slipperiness, it doesn't look like, but definitely some potions of heroism. You can find 3 specifically. It looks like they're being sold for about 3,000 gold each.
He'll buy 2 of them then.
Okay, so 6,000 gold.
Yep.
This is an entirely meta question, but is this the sort of place that we could pick up more pearls for the link shell?
Pearls? You cannot. No, link pearls are Tyrian specialty. So
okay.
Oh, you know what? I should. Can I borrow some money? I need a diamond for Ray's dad.
Oh, how big of one do you need, darling?
500 gold worth.
Cool. Is there anything else?
Nope. Just
I wonder how low Gent is on money now that he doesn't have access to the bank anymore.
Oh, he's getting low.
Getting low.
Yep.
yeah. If I can get one of those, then I'll get oh heck, let's just spend it all. I've got 300 gold. I'll get 3 greater restorations worth.
Of diamond dust? Okay.
Yep.
Is that still like cost per level, or is it just a flat cost? I don't remember
It's
what
a
it
flat
is in this
cost.
edition. Okay.
Yeah, it's a flat cost per casting.
Yeah.
That is-
Well, and yeah,
that's
because greater restoration isn't one that you can cast at a higher level anyway. So
And
And
if
you
you
can,
spend the
it just
gold,
doesn't do anything at higher levels.
right.
I'll put a diamond for raised dead on my sheet.
Okay. I
Yep.
feel I feel like it used to be per level of the character being raised.
It did in 3.5. It used to be based on who you're
Raised
raising,
dead.
but
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. In 5th edition, it's a flat cost.
Yep.
I'm old enough to have edition confusion. I
Yeah,
apologize.
I feel ya.
You're
Mhm.
not the only one.
Not
This-
even a little bit.
Let me tell you how confusing it is to read the old school Forgotten Realms novels, and the back of my brain is like, you can't do that. You need to do this.
I've also
Yep.
still got a bowl for heroes faced. So we've got that in our pocket. Okay, that's it for me.
All right. So, anything else you're looking for, Gent?
Nope. That was everything.
All right. Oh, you find yours as you're making your way through. So what are you looking for in other than that? What are you looking for in the forum, Titania?
In looking for people from the Withered Green, see if we can ask some questions about these Titan bones that they worship.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Okay. I'm very good at those.
if
Can
you
I do
can
one of
find
those
a withered
too?
green who is willing to talk.
Ooh, I am. 19.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good at
Is it visual?
too.
No, this is a social investigation.
Ah, okay. The worst kind.
That's kind. What are you talking about?
That's fine.
22.
Nice.
I help.
So, the two of you sort of begin, palling around, talking. You notice that the majority of the legions are fairly standoffish with you, just because they're not familiar with who you are. But it's a neutral ground, so they're being polite at the very least. You get a sense very quickly that the Withered Green are here almost on sufferance.
Mhm.
The other legions seem to feel that they definitely don't want to be here. That they are here because of a necessity or required of them in some capacity. You don't find any Withered Green out and about. They don't seem to be. They seem to be intentionally keeping themselves and not mingling with the rest of the legions. So it sort of becomes clear at a certain point that, aside from whoever they send to the forum meeting with the other leaders, if you wanted to talk to any of the Withered Green, you'd have to go to their camp.
Ah, okay.
Which is outside the safe zone.
It is.
And while most of the legions might not know who we are, there's pretty good chances that the Withered Green does. Considering we killed their boss.
Temporarily.
Still.
So that means we're in charge of them, right?
Not how that works.
Look,
If we
just
killed
because
if we killed their boss permanently, then maybe.
Yes, then I would feel much more confident about this. But no.
Rhyhor is not the legion leader.
No, but he's the person they worship, just like the Dragon Scales worship Azerth.
Yeah. Yeah, but unlike the rest of the Legion, leadership rituals, killing someone's god does not make them worship you.
no. The more's the pity.
As we found out with Titania and Ternalian.
No, it sort of makes
Somewhere
you.
AO's saying you're doing it wrong.
That's what I was saying. That is how it works in AO's book.
It kind of is. You kill them, you get their portfolios, and then a bunch of clerics on the material plane have to go, oh God, what's that feeling?
And then find either their new god or lose their powers.
Heyo.
Add to lose
Yeah.
it and lose.
The faith in Gran Terra works a little different than faith in Forgotten Realms.
Yes.
By a little, I mean a lot.
You mean you can't just loot it off the body?
Look at all this faith I just got.
Man, this guy dropped so much faith. Roll for need.
I just killed a Montour. Praise the sun.
Not going to be a good idea though. Let's head back.
All right. Let's see what we can find.
Hmm.
All right. So, having done some shopping and a little bit of asking around, this group is moving back.
I want to have
Okay.
one more conversation
Go ahead.
with Annabella as we're like kind of heading back. She's gonna drop beside you. By the way, you don't need to keep calling me Milady and stuff.
It's mostly a habit at this point. It's not. I'm
But you
still
don't-
trying to find my own identity as well, and so it's hard.
Yeah.
I've been calling you that my entire life at this point. So.
Mhm. You don't.
But
need-
I'll try. I'm trying.
Okay. I want you to have this. She indicates the staff. If I ever don't need it anymore. It's a gift I got from the Druid Circle on the island. Is it Stoffel A? I think so.
No, it was Sharkmouth Bay.
It was Sharkmouth. No, it was yeah. Of Sharkmouth Bay. When we went there, the island was being choked out by the spreading necromancy from the Lich on Terra. We shoved him out of that area, and in thanks, he gave me this. It's just a borrowing, though. I need to return it someday. It will also work for rangers.
Well, that's useful.
Mhm. Good.
So, who are you returning it to?
The druids there. There's a druid circle.
And they would be willing to share it with a ranger?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Anyone who works with nature, you know?
The theory is sound, but I don't know many druids who are willing to share. I haven't.
Oh no, we
Maybe
both
I
work-
just.
we both work with like animals and plants and things. Did you get like a chance to go and do any of that while you were traveling around?
Oh, plenty. I spent a lot of time actually.
What's
Not.
your favorite spot? Do you like the deep forest or like I love the beaches?
I actually prefer woods.
Mm.
I like trees,
Mm.
and it's funny because I spent so much of my time when I was growing up, like being told what I wanted and what I needed to do and who I needed to be and how I needed to change to match what face whoever I needed to see. I never really thought about what I liked or what I wanted or who I was. And then this weird little drunk dwarf popped up and said, "Hey, who are you?" And nobody had ever asked me that before. And I actually asked myself, like, the world is ending, like tomorrow might not happen. Who are you? And I actually asked myself. And I realized that I did have preferences and I did have wants and I did have things that I wished for. And I never even thought about those things before that day. And so, yeah, I like the trees. I like the beach. But I like being able to look at a tree and see what it is and what it does and what comes from it, And it's I spent this year, I suppose that's a bit selfish, but I spent this year asking those questions and finding those things and looking at what that meant because I never had before. It was always about the greatness of Taram and the betterment of the empire and the goals and the obligations and the responsibilities of the Crow Sea. And this last year, I just got to be Annabella. And that was nice.
I don't think that's selfish at all. It's going to give you like a friendly hug and just like as we're walking, point out like weird little plants and things because there are some around here. It's all like weird little, I imagine desert plants and stuff, but there is stuff here. And we've been through here before, so I imagine Titania has that little bit more knowledge of what.
There's not a lot of plant life, but there is some.
Yep.
That one looks like a rock, but it's actually more akin to a Venus flytrap.
And you don't fuck with the cactuses in Desolation.
No.
No.
Annabelle
is absolutely going to enjoy that every second.
I wouldn't fuck a cactus in general, Desolation or not.
But for one, their water is poisonous.
That's all I wanted to do.
More than one traveler has gone to Desolation thinking they know what to deal with the cactus and dying.
Mm-hmm.
So, some of you are heading. Ithram, are you gonna hang out at the Legion, or are you heading straight to the Forum after getting done talking with Ked?
Yeah, he's gonna head straight to the Forum.
Yeah. Is anyone gonna follow Ithram along, or?
Yeah, they'll have to follow.
Vespia is still attached.
Gent would like to try and intersect if that works narratively.
I mean, that's what's going to happen. Is basically whoever's following Ithram is going to intersect. The two groups are going to cross paths.
Cool.
It's just
ironically
going with them.
Oh, gee, I wonder what's going to happen. No, I'm just kidding.
Chopping has reminded me that I do need to pick up a material component. So I will slip off to try to do that, and then once that's done, get back.
Okay. What are you trying to get?
I need 1,500 gold worth of ruby dust.
Can be got.
Awesome.
at cost.
And then probably I will say enough, so 50 gold piece apiece, maybe 4 or 5 teleportation circle casts, which is the chalks and inks and
So the materials for it, not
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can get that.
okay.
I need to cast teleportation circle 4 or 5 times
Right now.
right now.
Grummond, are you going with Ithram and Vespia and Valdeth, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
And then I will slide back, but obviously that's not me.
yeah, so everyone but Sin will sort of meet up as intersect as Ithram's group is heading towards the forum and Titania's group is heading away.
That is assuming that Sin looks like they want to be left alone. If that's not
Sid's
obvious,
probably just gonna quietly slip away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sin
So
does
not
the-
a question of sort of being left behind, a question of like actively
Yeah.
leaving.
Sin does the sort of thing where everyone starts to walk away, and Sin is walking behind you, and then as you turn a corner, Sin stops,
Yep.
and you continue to turn the corner without noticing.
Okay. Yeah. I
So-
especially since the running joke is that Grumman never realizes when Sin has changed form anyway.
Right.
I think it more than tracks that Drummond would not notice this.
Fantastic.
So you might even still think the rest of you might still think that Sin is following behind you at this point, basically.
Right,
I have
'cause
11 I have an 11 passive perception. Sin is at they're bringing up the rear.
Yep.
With a 19
Drummond.
passive perception, I feel like Valdeth noticed and is just like, they'll be back when they're back.
You noticed that Sin isn't there earlier than the rest of them, but you didn't necessarily notice that Sin left.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for a roll. I don't know why you all rolled.
Because I rolled out of default.
That's fair.
And also I had a +10, so I wanted to see if I would roll above a 20. I did not because I'm rolling dice.
Yeah.
I'm always a fan of letting the dice inform my role playing anyway.
That's fair.
so,
That's
yeah.
absolutely fair.
Grumman doesn't see. Grumman's probably at the back. So anyway, I had an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time. And was talking to Sin, who is not there anymore.
No, I imagine
I
it's just some other random person who's just picked up and is going to be very confused.
Just caught in the crowd next to
Yeah.
our group.
And Grumman like sort of isn't looking and glances back and thinks to himself, "Oh, Sin's changed form again." Anyhow,
And then Brazil say like, "Oh, what's your name? What's your name now?" And then
yeah.
marks that as an identity of Sin.
Roll me a
When-
D100, Craig.
Yeah, you bet.
God.
16.
This new hobgoblin form of Sins is, it's yet another one you haven't seen before. As just sort of intrigued by the storytelling that Grumman was doing to nobody, and feeling bad that Grumman didn't have anybody listening to them.
Yes.
This person that introduces themselves as Joral just continues to follow along behind you.
So Joral, you said Joral. Oh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
Joral, yes.
So anyway, so he leaves the snake behind out in the sand dunes and goes off to experience the world.
So that's happening behind you.
Craig, no.
I am so excited for this to come up later and be a serious point of confusion.
So the two groups intersect.
Ithram, might I borrow Vespia for a moment? Vespia, if you're available.
Sure.
Excellent.
Step aside.
And Gent will offer an arm and just whip Vespia off into the crowd somewhere.
Metaphorically, not like launch through the air.
No. Just,
Or,
just
bold.
very quick,
I don't think
very
we're going
quick,
to beat my
just
father's record.
diversion of
Just-
yeah, no.
Just the
I'm not-
fucking Irish whip, just like grab, pull,
Right,
throw.
yeah.
I realize we didn't get a chance to speak very candidly yet, and I wanted to ask about your intentions with Ithram.
God. Oh no!
What are your intentions with my wizard?
I was waiting for this, but I didn't expect it from Gen.
Oh no!
Dude, as far as Gen's concerned, Ithram's his best friend. He's getting
They're Arcana bros.
right.
Yeah. This is the bro talk.
We share a laboratory.
Yeah.
Would you trust a man with your own laboratory?
Quite honestly, I feel myself drawn to him. My feelings are genuine.
Insight check.
Make an insight check.
That's a 14, which is terrible.
Make a deception or a persuasion roll, Vespia.
Well, that's reassuring. Absolutely. And how did you stumble across him?
I was looking for him and I found him.
What made you aware of his existence in the first place, then, if I might ask?
I've read about your group. I was aware of all of your existences. I noticed that something was not right and that you all needed assistance.
When you say something not right, are we referring to the situation in Taram or?
The situation of this world.
Of course.
If you lose, that's not good. Not for any of the worlds. So I decided to come help.
Understandable. If we win, what then?
I'll have to see what happens then.
So no plans as of yet?
No, I never make plans.
Really?
Life's far more interesting that way.
Do tell me what that's like.
As I said, interesting. You end up in unique places, you meet interesting people.
Doesn't sound entirely different from my life, but all right.
I just go where life takes me.
So I don't suppose you're determinist then, in any sense of the word?
No.
Fascinating. All right. I apologize for the interrogation, but it was...
Perfectly understandable. I was expecting it at some point.
Oh, well.
Not from you, but at some
Really?
point.
Who were you expecting it
Yes.
from, do you think?
I think maybe more Valda.
Not entirely unfounded. Are you getting along with all the rest of the Steelhearts all right?
You tell me. I saw what you did with Grumman.
Yes, well, Grumman and I have a bit of a rocky history, as you probably were able to glean from
I
my
gathered.
fiance's commentary. But I think we may have turned a bit of a corner there. Then, of course, there's Annabella, who I think would happily see me in a shallow grave, but that will be handled eventually one way or another, I'm sure.
You seem to have a complicated history with this group.
I'm a complicated person.
I can tell.
Well, I'm sure you're very well educated on that, being aware of us from whichever book you found us in.
Bits and pieces.
Well, I shouldn't speak for the rest of the group. I appreciate your unique perspective and hope that you'll feel comfortable speaking openly and honestly when the time's right.
I always do.
Excellent. Lovely.
She will give
Perfect.
him a wink.
He'll return that. And then whip around another corner and drop her back off with Ithram.
Meanwhile, did anyone else have a conversation while you waited?
I don't think, not really. Aside from Grummond continuing his conversation with this random hobgoblin.
I'll inform I asked around for the Withergreen. They just send people to the forum. They don't really have anyone wandering around there, so I couldn't find anyone to have a conversation with, and I figured it was not a good idea to go and ask at their camp.
Probably not.
I'm not sure it's worth the risk.
They probably would not take kindly to the people that took a stab at their object of worship waltzing into their camp.
No, I can. How long are we planning on staying here, Ithram?
If we could, I had no set amount of time, to be honest. I didn't know how quickly we'd be able to, if at all, locate these areas. But with the information that my father shared, we at least have a few locations we can check.
So probably see what we can discover from conversations with the different legions, and then probably make our way to the corpse.
Yeah. If I can rest and meditate, as Mara remembers all my spells, I think I have augury. So I can ask if even trying to go to them is a good idea.
I can do that myself, actually.
Oh. Cool.
And perhaps after my mother is done with her session in the forum, we may be able to get, she knows more information about the bones and the magic surrounding them. She may be able to clarify which location would be more probable.
Very fair.
As tis to be remembered that I, as a samurai, do have a bit of magic.
Now, Jorol, you're not going to believe this, but the next time Ogman goes back to visit with the serpent's got a wee baby. And he says to him,
It's still going on in the background.
Very intrigued by this story. It has gone many different places.
There's just going to be a point where this poor fucker, whoever they are, is just going to get banished away from him, and then we'll just slip right into the place in that form.
Oh no, I'm imagining this happens right up until we need to do a teleportation and Ithram realizes he's at capacity. Because we have one extra person.
For sure.
Also, I just want to, I know the chances are slim, but is Jorol from my legion?
Yes. What do you mean slim? They were walking through your legion when you picked them up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So hang on. Let's see. Now that I've turned around and have addressed the group, I don't.
Yes.
I'm keeping that.
Yeah, you don't recognize them.
Well, I recognize him, but I'm just like not gonna bring it up.
Yeah, it doesn't click that this is out of order, basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's from your legion anyway. It's a guy. It's guy that you know.
That's Jorol. I wonder where Sin went.
Yep.
Yeah, you just don't vocalize that, basically. Just
yeah.
And then 100% that's what happens. At some point, Sin sees the group, just banishes Jorl. He'll come back in a minute in the same spot. It's fine. And take Jorl from him and slip into the spot.
Everyone make perception checks.
Okay.
Because banishing
Including
is a little
me,
bit
I
hard,
think-
including you. Banishing is a little bit harder to hide in that fashion.
It is. Can I, I don't know.
Get a sleight of hand.
Okay.
18.
Yes, I will inspiration this.
9. Perfect.
This is visual. I get advantage.
Not sure if mine are.
Yeah!
I can't see anyone's rolls. Oh, sorry. The
You see
22 is
Jorl in the
correct.
astral plane
Sorry.
going, "What the fuck?"
Right?
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, Vespia.
It's okay. The people who I assumed were gonna notice noticed, and the people I really didn't want to notice didn't.
So Vespia and Grumman didn't notice. Everyone else did.
It's okay. I'm still playing it off.
Yep.
Oh, and Ithram didn't notice, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That was an
I'm
important one to
holding
not
on to that too.
I
that
didn't either.
just-
I got a 22.
unless it's a separate
Yeah. Oh no, this is a separate perception check. So go ahead and roll a second one. Yeah.
10.
Yeah. No, and still didn't notice. Yeah. So-
I like to think that's the moment Vespia comes back and wraps herself back around.
Yeah, as that's happening and Grumman's
Perfect
looking
timing.
over and still talking, the rest of you watch as the person Grumman is talking to disappears, and then another copy of them walks up into their place, and
He
then
continues walking.
Just continues and listening. They did follow for like maybe half a block so they could get where the conversation was. So not to like completely come in blind just in case a question gets asked or something like that.
You're still like 2 hours behind on this story though, so
It's fine.
a little- So, all right. So, anyway, so there they are, and they're coming up, and this wagon is just completely out of control, up and down the sand dunes, and they're coming back, and Ogman's trying to control it, but it's completely out of control. And the wee snake baby's sitting next to him and screaming, and they look ahead, and there's the serpent Nathaniel sitting there, and he turns to the baby and he says, "Well, better Nate than liver."
and on that bombshell,
Only you, Grumman.
is where we'll end this week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.